one little detail on page 133 when MJ calls to Peter and all three Peters confusedly point at each other. The script straight up says, memes! Showing that they deliberately wanted this to be a recreation of the Spider-Man pointing at each other meme.
Okay, let's do this one last time.
See, what's up? It's your boy King, and I am okay. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, I'm back with another video. Yes sir, yes ma'am. Today is Spider-Man Sunday, and on Spider-Man Sundays I react to Spider-Man related content. Now today we have a new video by new Rocktars titled Spider-Man No Way Home, New Details Hidden in Screenplay. New Rocktars always plugs me with like all the information I need on my favorite MCU and other pop culture content. If you haven't watched it before, a couple of weeks ago I did this video, Spider-Man No Way Home Easter eggs and breakdown, which was very informative, which gave me a lot of insights of things that went over my head, because that wasn't an environment to get all the information you need. That cinema was so loud. I wish I can relive that moment again. But yeah, have another Spider-Man No Way Home related video from new Rocktars. And let's get into it. Okay, before we start, before we continue with this video, I would like y'all to do me a favor. Certain percentage of y'all, this percentage of y'all are not subscribed. Like this does not add up. This does not add up. So your boy is on the road to 1K subscribers. Yes sir, 1K subscribers. We can't do it. Like, it's actually a possibility. Do your boy a favor, make sure that you like, comment, share and subscribe, because I'm gonna be bringing you more fire content. Like, content is just reaction videos, but like, yeah, let me know what y'all would like me to react to, especially on Spider-Man Sunday.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss, and Spider-Man No Way Home was embedded with even more secret layers of meaning than we realized, because this film's official screenplay was just released, and let me tell ya, while it wasn't staring wide-eyed and screaming and crying at this movie in IMAX, it was one hell of a read that still made me do all of those things. I poured through all 181 pages of this to find a ton of new details that are not that obvious from watching this film. Some deeper context, subtext, literal texts that made me appreciate this movie's attention to detail even more. And the fact that this movie snuck in a Stan Lee cameo? I swear to God, if they weaken at Stan Lee let's break this down. Now, the version of the No Way Home screenplay that has been released is the final script, the draft submitted for awards consideration. Film scripts are really living documents that evolve throughout production and post-production to give each department a blueprint for the movie as it comes together. So this draft is likely one that the screenwriters assembled after the film's release to best reflect what we actually saw in the film. The title page reads Serenity Now, the No Way Home production title before its public title was decided and announced. Serenity Now is a reference to the sitcom Seinfeld, season 9, episode 3, in which George's father, Frank Costanza, repeats the phrase Serenity Now, really is a calming mantra that he heard from a self-help tape, but because this is Frank Costanza, it just makes him angrier and bottles up his rage. Serenity Now! Now, when we first heard the production title of this movie was going to be Serenity Now, it just seemed like a random Seinfeld joke. Really, many production titles are just random phrases. However, if you think about it, the core emotional arc for Peter Parker in No Way Home is to embrace Aunt May's Zen mindset of helping people instead of dooming them. And despite Peter's rage exploding against Green Goblin, he must channel his inner Serenity Now and let it go. Now, the opening pages transcribe exactly what we saw and noticed in the film, until page 5, the exposition says that Flash's phone screen shows the Daily Bugle official TikTok. Now, you may have caught this in the quick cut to in the movie, but it is fun to see the script tie in with with that whole thing of Ed Betty Brant being the Daily Bugle TikTok intern. Now, another fun visual detail that's hard to catch while watching the movie, when the brick flies in through the window, caught by Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock Daredevil, the script confirms that the newspaper message wrapped around the brick misspells the word of believe, almost like they didn't want to spell this pro-Mysterio message with the word lie in it. Now, jumping ahead to the bridge battle against Doc Ock, described on page 50, the direction reads, Spider-Man versus Doc Ock, mano a mano, etc. Because, you know, like 16 different appendages are fighting here. And then a bit further down, it directs Doc Ock's tentacles to grab Spider-Man's arms in a vice as another tentacle latches onto the Daily Bugle helicopter. The fact that Doc Ock uses the helicopter rotors to try to kill Peter is obvious enough, but I only now put it together that Doc Ock was using the Daily Bugle helicopter, one of Peter's other enemies, the Daily Bugle, to try to kill him in this moment, when the Daily Bugle, by reporting all this horrible stuff about Peter, has been trying to kill him up until this point. Everything about the Daily Bugle is deadly to Peter. Then jumping ahead to page 76, when Peter finds May having tea with Norman Osborn, the description reads, no armor, dressed in ill-fitting clothes from the donation bin, nursing tea in a mug, he looks tired, disoriented, even fragile. So when we watch the movie, it isn't confirmed where exactly Norman got these green and purple sweats, but now we know it was from the donation bin, which means that Norman walked into this feast center still wearing his goblin armor. So someone at Feast, maybe even May, saw him enter the doors as a multiversal supervillain and still decided to give this guy a second chance. And then shortly after this, on page 80, another subtext detail that I appreciated, when Norman meets MJ in the Sanctum, at first he thinks MJ is for Mary Jane. As we know from the film, she corrects him. But then the script says, Norman reacts, understanding another universe, which leads him to say fascinating. So I love this. Just from MJ standing for different names in this reality, the brilliant Norman Osborn already deduces the multiverse logic of that and how the magic keeps some aspects of the identity the same, but warps them slightly. Really, the bigger detail is a few pages after this, Doctor Strange's box. Now, hearing the name of it, I thought it was the Machina Dicotomus, but in the script it is spelled La Macchina di Cadavis, which is Italian for the machine of Cadavis, Italian being a key language because it's the nationality of Cagliostro, the sorcerer who wrote Camertage's Book of Cagliostro. But the word Cadavis is an important Easter egg because it refers to the Crystal of Cadavis, which comes from the Marvel team-up number 21 in 1974, in which Spider-Man teams up with Doctor Strange to fight a sorcerer named Xandu, who hypnotizes Peter into stealing the Crystal of Cadavis, which Xandu needs in a plot to resurrect his wife. The word Cadavis, a play on cadaver. And what's amazing about this is months ago, I actually found a clue in the trailer of a car on the bridge with a license tag of MTU 2174, which was a reference to this exact comic issue, but that plate was removed from the final cut of the film. Now, on the next page, page 84, it says that when Strange activates the box, golden light was supposed to begin enveloping the villains in their cells, but interestingly, they left this out of the film and saved it for when the spell was complete at the end. Now, in Peter's confrontation with Strange in the mirror dimension, on page 88, Peter using geometry to best Strange is described in a pretty fun way. Strange looks around, webs everywhere, closing in on him as the rocks turn and spin, not so random after all, as Strange is completely ensnared in a web. I love describing it this way because it reflects the way Strange used to see the universe as random, tiny momentary specks within an indifferent universe, but the lesson Strange must learn is that there is always a deeper order to the chaos than he thinks. So jumping ahead to Aunt May's tragic death on page 116. I totally did not catch this under the music and the tears of this moment, but among Peter's last words to May are, it's just me and you, okay? It's just me and you. Calling back May, connecting with him in Homecoming.
Peter, you have to tell me what's going on. Just lay it out. It's just me and you.
Which in that moment, I always interpreted as her way of saying, it's just down to the two of us since Ben died. We have to trust each other. And now Peter's echoing that here, that she will always be that important mother figure to him. Now, one of my most favorite things about reading the script is also my favorite part of the film, the introduction of Andrew Garfield Peter and Tobey Maguire Peter. And in the script, started on page 119, to avoid confusion among the Peters, these two are labeled as Webb-verse Peter and Raimi-verse Peter from there forward, crediting the directors Mark Webb and Sam Raimi for their contributions to this franchise. And then a few pages later on page 127, when MJ and Ned bring the other Peters to the Midtown roof, they're initially silhouetted in the light of the moon, and Peter doesn't recognize them at first, so the script says Peter takes a protective stance guarding his friends, meaning that Peter did not know what other multiversal villains could have arrived, threatening his loved ones, so his instinct is to protect his only loved ones left from getting killed until he realizes that these two are on his side. And this is pretty clear in the scene. I just love reading this in the script on page 128. 129 as all three Peters finish each other's "with great power" lines. The exposition says they're overwhelmed by this uncanny connection bound together across universes by those words, just further underlining that quote as a kind of absolute point that defines all Peter Parkers regardless of their dimensions. Fun little detail on page 133 when MJ calls to Peter and all three Peters confusedly point at each other. The script straight up says, "memes," showing that they deliberately wanted this to be a recreation of the Spider-Man pointing at each other meme. And then during the final battle, when Andrew Garfield Peter chats with Max Dillon about the existence of a Black Spider-Man, on page 159 it says, "Webb vs. Peter nods, there probably is." Now the way they formatted this is interesting because it's described as Andrew Garfield Peter's thought, but also it's still formatted in a way to leave open for interpretation that Miles Morales Spider-Man does indeed exist in this live action multiverse. Then onto the final moments in this donut shop. One of the weirdest things I found in the script, on page 177, Peter finds MJ talking.
The Amazing Spider-Man is at that age where Miles is introduced into the Spider-Verse and the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Like it's around that timeline right now where Miles is introduced as the next Spider-Man. This is around the time, so I'm not sure. I think he's at that age where he meets Miles.
And laughing with an older customer, a Stan Lee lookalike. Now, when I saw this movie, I did wonder why the camera lingered on this guy and MJ's moment with him. I wondered if he could be some VIP or comics writer, but he is an actor named Edward Force, and now the script is suggesting that this guy was cast for his resemblance to Stan Lee. Did the script intend for us to see this resemblance? Are we meant to see him as a Stan Lee variant? Or really, is it just to evoke the memory of Stan's many cameos, the kind of vague deja vu and facial blindness? Is that him? No, not quite. That MJ is now feeling in this scene. Either way, I think it's just a cool, weird thing to keep in the script. And this scene hints at MJ's inner thoughts while chatting with Peter. When he finishes her line about expecting disappointment, because then you'll never actually be disappointed, it says, "a flicker of deja vu on her face." And then on the next page, as Peter decides not to tell her and walks out the door, it says, "hold on MJ," watching Peter go with a lingering sense of recognition. And then we move on to the final sequence as Peter swings in with this new suit on page 181. The script describes it as a blue and red suit, new for him, but reminiscent of the suits he's seen before, meaning that Peter was directly inspired by those hand-stitched brighter colors of the suits of his predecessors. A major lesson that he learned, rather than having a billionaire engineer design all your tech for you, an important rite of passage is to stitch your own suit. And then the awesome final words of the script, he swings with a newfound sense of freedom, liberated from having to juggle two lives. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man lives on. Fade out. Ah, yes. Now, while it is easy to walk out of this film feeling a bit down about the stranger Peter now is in his world, cut off from everyone he loves, hearing it this way reminds me of how his Peter Parker identity always weighed him down. The opening shots of Spider-Man Homecoming showed us a kid itching to escape from his life as a bullied high school student so that he could come alive, finally at the end of the day, as a masked, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And this ending finally gives him that freedom.
Beautiful. This just confirms how beautiful this movie was. Great script, great movie. It's just beautiful. And like, I'm gonna read the whole script. 118 pages, 108. Yeah, I can do that. But what y'all can do for me is comment down what was like your favorite moments from the movie, and yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Until next time.